You know, I figured it out, right? Why do you guys come here every single week? I know why, because this is the most handsome podcast in the history of YouTube. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the Hate Bit Podcast. I'm your intrepid host, Yell Chaos. Joining me all the way over there in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I was going to say something real nice about him, but it turned out it would be all fucking lies. Alpha Omega Sid.
It is extremely true. Find these awesome Resident Evil comic magazine things. They're good. Jim Lee did the covers, so they look pretty. Yeah, it's Resident Evil. That's all. Welcome to the show.
Indeed. And also joining us from a bunker deep below the ground.
Godspeed, folks. Sorry I don't have my camera. All my lights burned out. I am coming to you live from a Zagreb bunker. Either that or from Phoenix, where winter is our favorite day of the year. Godspeed.
Indeed. Welcome to our program. We got a great show for you today, a big show. We want to make sure that each and every one of you check us out on the social media, if you're so inclined, on your Facebook, on your Twitter, on the Instagram, and all that sort of thing. That way you can see the pictures of the birds that come and shit in my yard. It's a great thing, so make sure and check it out. Also, if you have questions, comments, concerns, correspondence of any kind, please drop us a line at hatebitpodcast@gmail.com. Now, with all that being said and all that being out of the way, we have to start the show on a down note yet again, because that's just plain what we do around here. Rest in peace, Charlie Murphy. Very, very, very sad to hear about that, the passing of Charlie Murphy. Eddie Murphy's brother, a longtime comedy writer and apparently close confidant of Prince and Rick James. And I understand that Dave Chappelle did a little something for him. Is that not true? No?
Just a tad bit. I like to think so. It sucks because a lot of the shit that he was known for was pretty much like most modern audiences were just like, Charlie Murphy, oh yeah, Dave Chappelle show. And to be honest, he was part of like some of the biggest highlights of that entire show. So
absolutely. I will say that. I have nothing but nice. I have more nice things to say about Charlie Murphy than I do about Eddie Murphy. One thing is that Charlie Murphy was smart enough to, be off camera. So that's something that's special. Razorfist, did you have any nice things to say about Charlie Murphy?
Nope, not particularly. I don't find him funny or him or fucking Dave Chappelle. So yeah, I'll take the fucking slings and arrows. Fuck him. Not funny. Don't give a fuck. Don't give a shit. Sorry.
Razor Fist comes stumbling out, looking like the end of 300 suddenly.
I want to make it.
Yeah, I'll be the asshole.
I want to make an apology. Razor Fist has been the victim to many open mic nights. You have to understand. It's a shame, but it's all
true.
Right.
I've done too many to have respect for this man.
Right, absolutely, and
had too many beer bottles thrown at my head.
No, you leave stuff wide open when you say things.
No, sorry. Here's my tribute to Dave Chappelle and Charlie Murphy. Did you know that white people and black people have fundamental differences in the way they approach their daily lives?
Oh, wait. Are you Richard Pryor?
That's the joke.
I'm not sure. I think you were being Richard Pryor just then. That's just me.
Possibly.
Awesome. Was it always roses and sunshine on the Richard Pryor front? But that having been said, Charlie Murphy, the world will be one less fella with really bright shiny white teeth. So there's that. If we can say nothing else, In other news, EA's Peter Moore is retiring from the game business. I understand to be stunt double for the Grim Reaper, and something he's always wanted to do. No, I understand. I'm sorry. He is leaving to become CEO of Liverpool Football Club. The football club in Liverpool. Apparently, something he's always wanted to do, and he will be leaving the video game business forever. For those of you who don't know Peter Moore, the president of EA Sports when it was its own separate entity, and as of right now, I think chief operating officer of competition or something like that. And you know those names for people that get worked to death for no good reason. Peter, if you were here for the Hate the Podcast E3 show we did last year, Peter Moore aged a decade inside a single year. And I think that he has just been squeezed out of the game business.
Yeah, I've seen better looking faces on a pirate flag. I don't know what the fuck is happening with this cat. It seems like he compress aged.
The only thing I can think here, my thinking is he's the one that had to like talk to Pele.
Yeah.
I think that would put years on anybody to have.
You had to pretend that FIFA was worth a shit in America.
Right? Yeah, exactly. All that. See, and what people don't understand is people who have to fawn and fake acting, that's hard on their bodies. So EA has done that to Peter Moore, and now Peter Moore is going to go for a much easier life in professional soccer. That's amazing. That the simple, easier life from this is to go work in professional soccer, where people kick each other all the time.
Yeah,
I personally wish that he would have just decided to leave and give us, I don't know, another 3DO for no reason. Just make that the swan song. Fuck it. We need another system out there. Why not? I got a soft spot in my heart for the 3DO. I'm a terrible person. I also wish that M... Huh?
Let's explore that. Why is that, since we're talking about EA?
Dude, the 3DO was like the better version of the Sega CD. And I wanted some of these games so fucking much, and I know that they're garbage. I recognize that they were garbage back then, with the exception of certain things like, was it the One Wing Commander and Road Rash and shit like that. But there was oh my god, I can't remember some of the games, but if I see the footage from them, I'm like, that they were so bad that they were good. And that was the 3DO. And plus, I still remember wanting the M2, and that never saw the light of day. Well, not officially, but
so bad it's good. So basically, the Trauma films of video games.
You know what? Yeah, that.
And a similar budget, as a matter of fact.
There's this one game on 3DO that stars this dude that looks just like Dog the Bounty Hunter.
Yes.
And I cannot fucking remember. It's like a weird. It's not first person. It's like third person, but he walks like he shit his terrible leather pants. Like he's always walking like this, and he's got a fucking boomstick with him, like he's Mad Maxing it around, and it's ridiculous. I've got to find this shit. And this is how I do professional podcasts, by the way, everybody. Is by looking up things live.
Like you're on a bad date. Fantastic.
a very prepared program we have. I personally think, and this is my professional opinion, being a professional podcaster and a full-blown legitimate newsman, I want to say that the 3DO sucks.
Oh.
It does suck. I mean, the system does suck. Let's be honest.
The only thing I think that 3DO was ever really good for was making sure your coffee table didn't get up and go somewhere else.
Yeah, it's a bulky thing.
I've never owned one. I'd always wanted one, but they were just too fucking expensive. Oh, by the way, Killing Time. That's actually a good game on there. One of like 10, I think. Yeah. Okay, I can't find the fucking game for the life of me, but just trust me, there's a the Bounty Hunter game where you're walking around, you're shooting weird-looking shit, and it's really, really bad. Like, good. So bad it's good.
Yes.
Fuck off. That's it. Peter Moore, give us
the 3DO. If you have too much room in your house, buy it.
And too much money. I think actually discussing the console cost us all $5,000.
I mean, it could be worse. It could be the TurboGrafx or the Neo Geo, because those, you have to take out a loan to discuss either of them. Look at them, like meet my gaze. Well, I don't have $1,000. Well, tough titties. So fucking terrible. I love those systems though. They're so good. But dude, if you want a TurboGrafx collection, you need like at least 10 grand. Shit makes no sense. It's fucking ridiculous.
Need to donate all of your blood.
No, there's not enough.
Which explains what happened to Peter Moore. So, he's been
he got to be one of the. he got to be one of the fucking corpses from Indiana Jones and shit. And then,
Well,
like,
first he's
shuffle
gonna
him
be,
out
he's
on
gonna be one of the
stage.
corpses in Dead Island. That's what I think. But you know, we have lambasted Peter Moore just a little bit over the last few years, so it's going to be happy trails of Peter Moore. We say farewell to the Dorian Gray of the video game industry.
Enjoy your chemo treatments.
Indeed, and also enjoy your widow's peak. Thank you, Peter. We appreciate it. Now, in other news, you know, the fine folks, or I should say the dumb fucks over at the Chicken Noodle Network, CNN has blamed video games for all of the world's problems yet again. Isn't that true, Alpha Omega Sin?
Yep, because sensationalism within broadcast journalism is completely unheard of, let alone these fucking spoon-fed hacks who are deciding we're going to fabricate a fucking correlation between an unfounded one that's been disproven time and again, but why not? A correlation between real-world violence, shit that was live and happening, like people are live. This fucking maniac was out there actively going around killing people, and the first thing that came to mind with them, with the resources that they have available to them, the platform that they have available to them, is to decide to push a fucking narrative that's so goddamn unnecessary that it's CNN. If you just type in CNN is, fake news pops up first. Dead fucking serious. And there's
first.
It bothers me more because it's like, okay, most people be like, oh yeah, well, it's just about games. No, it's about the fact that you trivialize the deaths of multiple people just so that you can push for some agenda for what? To appease the fucking money cocks that you have to go and have looming over you 24 hours a day that keep your fucking shithole of a network running. I don't fucking get it. The stuff, it's a fucking travesty and it's fucking horseshit.
Well, and I think the really thing that's you know, what little research I've done about it, and mind you, I'm just going off of, you know, what was presented to me from CNN, and it's interesting that one thing that's really being overlooked with all the facts that are presented is no one ever mentions anything about mental illness.
No.
Because just based on the limited research I've done, there's something wrong with this fella. And, you know...
Really? You think someone who killed 15 people he didn't know might have a few fucking screw loose?
Hey, he didn't kill nearly as many people, nearly as many men as Cecil B. DeMille, all right?
Yeah.
God damn it.
No. I mean, okay, you guys, you've seen the actual videos of him, correct?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All you have to do is just the fucked up and sickening and really unfortunate, because it's everywhere now. Video of the old man who basically got shot. Like, dude just ran up onto him with a camera. This old man's scared shitless. Then he just pulls out a gun, points it at him, dead. And imagine if that's somebody that you're related to, that their last fucking moments are now circulating the internet. And then you see a video of him, he just recorded himself, literally sat up his stupid little fucking phone of him having a conversation. And this dude, zero fucking remorse, zero, like, there's no emotion behind this motherfucker.
Well, no, he's sitting there. There's a video of him sitting in the car talking to his buddy, and all he can talk about is himself. I fucked up. Oh, I just lost it. Sorry, man. Every single sentence begins with I or my or me. Every single fucking sentence out of this Buddha fucked Muhammad looking fucking Zika baby motherfucker. This piece of shit. If you can't watch that video and understand immediately that this guy has about 19 screws loose before, and you know, they bring video games into discussion. Do we even know if this guy ever picked up a fucking controller in his life?
There was nothing at all, at fucking all. I mean, I could go and I could bring up a million other things that would make more fucking sense and would still be kind of looked at with a sideways glance of, are you okay? Instead of games. And if you listen to one of the fucking stupid ass overpaid correspondents that they had working at the fucking goddamn shit shelter of CNN that said, Well, did you notice that this was on camera? That's like a video game, and that there was blood, and it was real. No shit, Sherlock. The fucking dude died, and people have blood in them. So when you put a fucking bullet in them, they bleed. But this disillusioned fucking shithead is sitting there talking about this like, oh wow, did you? It's as if he was so disconnected from fucking reality that he couldn't understand this stuff. And he's just like, yeah, video games. And to what end? To what fucking end? The fucking family ended up going on the news and are bawling their fucking eyes out because their grandfather, and for some of them for their fucking father, just got done getting murdered. There's other people out there that are getting shot up, and this fucking psychopath is talking about, I'm just going to keep killing people until they stop me. That's what his own fucking words. I was going to keep doing it until they stop me. And they thought, yeah, we need to talk about video games.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it's not like people aren't getting fucking killed on CNN for the last 25 goddamn years.
Yeah, I mean,
you know,
Jesus
the people
Christ,
that put the fucking war on TV.
I mean, for fuck's sake, a typhoon blew through goddamn Louisiana. CNN were sitting there talking about, oh, these people are so poor and so black. Oh, look, one of them just went under. Oh, okay, shit, let's rally around. Like CNN were rifling the remains of fucking Hurricane Katrina, and now they're rifling this old man's remains who did nothing wrong except, you know, walk down to his kid's house to go celebrate fucking Easter. Like, what the shit?
Yeah, that's the bad part about it is you got somebody who, this is just an innocent man who was out there doing what every other fucking person is doing, and some fucking mental case, in his own words, oh, I just snapped, man. I just snapped. And I did this. And people are just pushing anything that they possibly can. At one point, I had seen them go and purposely put some shit like dark white skin or some shit because they want to start pushing for a fucking racist narrative. And they Photoshopped this in so that they could be upset about it. And you just continue to trivialize the fact that motherfuckers lost their lives. And you don't care because you want to use this as your fucking platform to push for something else because you were that fucking cold. And fucking video games, you think, I just got them playing Persona 5 today. Man, running around in a fucking dungeon, going and killing all these stupid fucking demons. That's a lot like going up to somebody with a fucking gun and recording them as I shoot them to death. Yeah, same fucking thing. It's... But I already know that they're sacks of shit, and I don't expect any better, yet it is always just as fucking disgusting every time they decide to go and turn around and do the same kind of crap.
Well, and not only that, these are the people that are putting shootings on television. I love how they put a shooting on television and they put a fucking Walmart commercial and a Ford Trucks commercial on either goddamn side of it. And then they said, you know, video game people are real fucking assholes.
Not only that, but this is right in the middle of the whole YouTube thing where anyone who talks about politics is being demonetized across YouTube. But CNN can show a fucking snuff film and McDonald's is like, well, shit, you probably want a fucking Big Mac. After watching that shit.
Yeah, you can't show boobs on Fox, but you can show fucking killings on CNN.
Yeah, we can show Dennis Franz's hairy, sweaty cop ass. But that's
don't worry, because according to Onision, that motherfucker is saying, oh, it's all PewDiePie's fault. The reason that YouTube's the way that it is. It has nothing to do with the fact that I'm a complete and utter fucking hack and I'm failing at virtually everything that I've ever fucking attempted because my claim to fame is Tosh.0 turning me into a fucking meme. But hey, you know, right now YouTube has been in the fucking shits for a while and is not seemingly getting any fucking better because advertisers have been pulling out left and fucking right. There's certain fucking innuendo to go and make jokes out there. But with this, it's totally fine. We can go and put commercials on all this fucked up stuff, but how dare people on their own designated platform, how dare they go and talk about this stuff? They're fucking heathens and they're fucking monsters. They should have no say. let's just go with the corrupt fucking manipulative motherfuckers out there that have more pull, that have more sway, that actually have control over stuff. Let's give them that limelight. Makes total fucking sense, Chief. Good job.
That's just the way things are. And
demonetizing over jokes, like as if no one is aware of the fact that our ability to recognize humor is what it's what separates us from the apes and the SNL writers. So
yeah, you know, little Lenny Bruce said that, and then they led him off the stage in handcuffs.
You know what? You're not wrong.
Yeah, so never forget your history. But on to other news, because God, that's just a goddamn shame. But the point is, well, this is not the end, of course, because fuck CNN. Why? Just because.
Yeah.
And fuck Wolf Blitzer, because that's a fake name, and you know it.
There you go. Hashtag fuck CNN.
Yeah. And so make sure to do that. Check it out on your social media. Jump on there. Throw on Twitter. Just fuck CNN just because. Just tell them the Hate Bit Podcast sent you. Why do you hate CNN? Because the Hate Bit Podcast hates CNN. I think it's a good reason. I've had that feeling for a long time, you know. Honestly, anybody who really, they were the first people to show Middle Easterners murdered by missiles. They were the first people to show that on TV. So these are not people that deserve your respect. I'm not upset or anything. It's okay. But on to other pieces of news and other parts of the world. I was going to rub this in your face, but I'm not going to. The NES Classic Edition has been discontinued.
Yep.
And fucking why? I mean, I can understand. I know. I take that back. I can't understand a goddamn thing of this. Okay, we're selling a lot of this. Fuck them. They can't have it anymore. Is that what I'm to believe now? Alpha, you had a bit to say about that. You did a little ranting about it earlier in the week. Tell the people how you feel.
So I've had multiple people try to explain this to no avail because it was all fucking stupid. Well, Nintendo, they only did it in the first place because of brand loyalty. Okay, well, when you have barely even like a couple percentage of your loyal fans who got their fucking hands on it, exactly how the fuck is this working out? Well, this could undermine the virtual console. Do you really fucking think that it's going to with how well it's fucking selling? Are you that fucking dense? Are you that fucking retarded? And you want to know what can undermine the virtual console? Every single fucking electronic device known to man because they can all run an NES emulator. Shut the fuck up. Well, maybe it was just too expensive for them to make. Do you think that Nintendo doesn't ever take into account of hardware before they go into the manufacturing process? They are always making sure that they make cash day fucking one on putting those on the fucking store shelves. I think, and I can be wrong, but I think this makes a lot more sense. I think that Nintendo is deciding, you know what, this thing is way too fucking popular. Let's pull the fucking plug on it and then increase the fucking demand, because artificial inflation will keep that demand high. So if they ever decide to go and tropes back to doing this again, that shit will sell out just fucking like that. And you know what? The demand did increase. Now all of a sudden the NES Classics, little NES Minis on eBay, shit's going for like $2, $3, sometimes more, $100. I mean, it's working. The demand is there. It's just a shame that fans, actual fans, can't get their fucking hands on them. And people will go and argue, who the fuck cares? So many other things out there go and do that. Fans care. That's who they were supposed to be catering to. So if the fans aren't getting their hands on it, doesn't this seem counterproductive? And Nintendo's deciding, oh, well, I don't want money. I want the resellers to go and have the money. That seems to be counterproductive. Don't you think? Just a bit.
Well, you look at how they're approaching the production of the fucking Nintendo Switch. That's their main console, and people still can't get that goddamn thing. I mean, this is kind of the game that Nintendo's been playing for a while. But in this case, wasn't it originally supposed to be just a limited run type thing anyway?
There was talk that it was a limited run, and then that went away when there was a big, to-do around it, and the limited edition distinction dropped away. And then I guess they decided, you know what, that's on there, but the ink is invisible.
It's shadow ink.
Yeah, I've heard discussions that they say that it could, There's thoughts that it is, like you said, undermining the virtual console. I would like to think they would take that into account. As you said, before that, I don't know. I have a hard time believing, you know what? I really don't have a hard time believing. I don't think just Nintendo doesn't get manufacturing.
When I had people going and coming at me with the whole, well, they don't want to undermine their own business. Okay, well, Nintendo is a business, last time I checked. And as a business, when you are not supplying for the increased demand, and it's increased monumentally, when you aren't supplying that, then the only person who loses is you. This is a good way to push fans away. That's the fucking truth of the matter. Can't get your hands on a Nintendo Switch? Oh, tough fucking titties. Hey, Amiibos are out. Remember when they were really rare and people were getting fucking pissed off about that and that shit was getting resold? Yeah, that was pushing people away. Same exact thing with this. And anybody can make up all the fucking excuses that you want, but the thing that you can't deny is that lots of people still want it. Lots of people still aren't getting it. Nintendo isn't gaining anything from this, and a lot of people lost out. That's just a fact.
It's awful. It's terrible. And this is going to draw a lot of heat, but I'm sure I'd worry about it if I didn't already have one. I mean, I don't know what to say. I mean, I'll be honest. I had to bust my balls like a fucking crazy person to get one. Do I enjoy it? Yes, but never did I envision that this is the way this would go. I mean, and we can make all the jokes all day long about, not being there in the moment and whatever have you, but not even a year. I mean, that's super limited. And
not only is it super limited, think about how many times that they technically released these into stores to be sold.
Yeah,
like 4 times, right?
Like even when they did it more than once, they did it on such a low level, it might as well not have fucking existed. Because it basically showed up out of nowhere and was gone, lickety split, just like that. You didn't see that shit anymore.
The Ouya method, if you will.
Yeah. Well, the Ouya method was
still there. The Ouyas are there. Make no mistake about that.
Oh, I got a picture of me with an Ouya because I really thought it was an Oasis. Thought something might be happening to me, and I was like, okay, I need this picture to make sure. And it was real. It was amazing.
You started working that Hellraiser puzzle box, and that fucking pinhead came out.
I mean, it does have that button on it. I'm pretty sure if I slide my thumbs around it, all of a sudden fucking chains and hooks come at kill all the Target employees. And I'm like, whoops. Putting this right back onto the clearance shelf where it was.
A vast improvement over Target's hipster decor.
It's Target. Jeez.
Right.
Oh, that's right. Fancy.
But it's, the NES Classic. I just hope that if Nintendo's smart, make more of them. And if Nintendo plans on doing a follow-up with like the SNES Classic Mini, whatever the shit, please, for the love of fucking God, make a lot of them so that you don't run into this problem. They will sell no matter what. Just make enough. That's all.
See, and that's fantastic thinking. One thing that I stumbled across was interesting is now when the prices tripled on eBay, no one in this audience who's ever seen this program, who's on this dais, has the balls to sit here and say, "Oh, well, that was unexpected," because that's exactly it did happen from the very onset. But I understand a UK retailer called CEX, and there might be some funky British pronunciation. You know them fucking Brits. But they got a company that
actually CEX Governor is actually.
That's right. With awful teeth. And I understand that as of just the other day, right? In fact, right after the news, they changed all their pricing and they're selling the NES Classics for £190. 190 Great British pounds for you Americans is 238 American dollars. The balls on these fucking guys must go clank when they walk down the River Thames. I don't know where the fuck they go, but And that's just, I mean, again, eBay didn't surprise me, but the full-blown high street retailers just said, you know what? Fuck you, consumers. and they did what they did. And you know, I'm sure they're not the only ones, but that was the first that was brought to my attention. And
But it is interesting because as angry as everybody can be at, you know, oh, you're price gouging, you're a bunch of pieces of shit. Well, people are paying it. So who are you really mad at? I mean,
right?
They're capitalizing off of the fact that Nintendo isn't fucking supplying, and the demand all of a sudden, you know what a lot of folks were saying? I'll just wait. They'll make more. I'll just wait. There's going to be another shipment. I'll just wait. I'm not paying those prices, and rightfully so. At this point, since you're not getting any more, emulate. Just fucking emulate. That shit's free. Then they get no money at all. They weren't going to anyway if you bought it off of a fucking reseller. So there you go. You get way more games.
It blows my mind that it was as successful as it is in an age where I can play all these fucking games on my phone.
Well, also in an age where machines just like it are stacking up in clearance bins at Bed Bath & Beyond and shit like that.
It's hilarious because this is not an original concept.
No.
There's lots of these being made. They were made long before the NES Mini. They just weren't official Nintendo merchandise.
Well, that's because
they weren't made worth a shit too, and that's another thing.
That's true. Yeah.
A lot of people are paying for the nostalgia and the novelty, and that's the truth. I mean, there is a certain glow about just owning official Nintendo stuff, and that's what this is. Can I go get a Raspberry Pi and just make that into an all-in-one emulating powerhouse? Yeah. I can also do the same with virtually everything else in my house, including my phone and anything else that I own. But it was kind of cool having something that looked like a little mini front-loading toaster NES with really shitty cables and nice controllers. I'm playing my stupid games on the TV, and it was kind of cool. It's a novelty that people just liked because they were fans, and that's who got fucked out of it. That's the only reason why I can understand and empathize with anybody who's upset about it. It's because fans wanted that. A lot of fans did not get that. So I'm just hoping that they learn their lesson, but they probably won't figure out until they make the GameCube Mini. So, knowing Nintendo.
No one's gonna fucking buy that. You know that.
What, a GameCube Mini?
I don't see that being a successful venture. Period.
Oh, come the fuck on, dude! The GameCube's awesome. Don't
said you and like 9,000 other people. That's not enough.
Which, as we learned when the GameCube was actually on the market.
Exactly, and I am one of those 9,000 people, and I'm saying this is not an army. This is.
I'm going to point out something to you. One, on this very podcast, we have worked our fucking dicks over talking about the GameCube and its library. Two, it sold better than the Wii U.
I want to argue with you on that, but I'm not prepared. Fuck you for having questions.
It's okay.
The Sean Spicer of the Hate Bit podcast.
You know what?
Hey, the GameCube, the library on it, I mean, we got Metroid Prime on there. That was our first taste of fucking Animal Crossing. You know, I got that Skies of Arcadia, the best version of it on there. That was good. Luigi's Mansion was on there, and everybody was pissed off because it wasn't a proper Super Mario game. I buy a GameCube Mini, and I own all those fucking games, and they're sitting over there because I apparently don't like my own money. So, are you? You're looking up sales numbers right now, aren't you?
Motherfucker, I am. I am gonna have this, goddammit, before we get to the show. But the point is, you know, no one is gonna buy. Well, I'm not gonna say nobody because nobody got their fucking hands on this one either.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm having trouble arguing. I have faulty data.
Yeah.
I have alternative facts on
how
the
about
subject.
This will be able to end the argument if. And answer honestly, if they made a GameCube Mini, would you buy it?
Would I buy it? Yes. Would a fucking million people buy it? No goddamn way.
Well, I mean, there was no guarantee like billions were going to buy the NES. The GameCube is one of those systems that it was appreciated way more well afterwards.
Yeah, it's kind of a Dreamcast situation.
It is.
Absolutely.
Dreamcast Mini coming soon.
I would. Oh my god, dude!
Complete with 32K modem.
It's gonna have a little PC speaker on the outside to make the whirring noises from the disk drive that doesn't work properly.
Yeah,
those weren't whirring sounds. That sounded like shit was coming up from the depths of hell. And when that laser was moving, it went. It sounded like a faulty hard drive with a megaphone attached to it.
It sounded like it too was playing Sonic Adventure, and it didn't like it either. And I can understand its pain. I really can. So,
dude, all the Sonic fanboys are gonna be like, "Damn you!"
Hey! You know what? All you Sonic fanboys who like Sonic Adventure, you can kiss my dick. And by the way, Bubsy 3D can suck a nut.
Be careful. That'll be an hour-long discussion that you won't be able to get away from.
Kid, I'll fucking show him. I don't need any fucking bullshit from people like that, you know. I'll throw a fucking GameCube Mini at this motherfucker. I'm not afraid. God damn it. But with that having been said, now I'm throwing shit at special needs children. Thanks, Alpha. So yeah,
it's okay. I already defamed the dead. We're good. We've set the bar remarkably low here.
Well, yeah, and technically, okay, you're talking about making fun of and attacking like the mentally disabled. I mean, Razorfist was just talking about SNL writers earlier, so he beat you to the punch.
There we are.
That's true. That's fair enough. But yeah, that's the end of the line for the NES Classic Edition. So, you know, get yourselves ready for E3 when they announce the fucking SNES Classic Edition, and then you won't be allowed to have one. They will make -7 of them, and you will owe them money even though you will not get it.
You will owe them an SNES Classic. Like, you will have to manufacture and produce one and give to them, or
you'll
else.
have to travel to China on your own dime. You have to work at Foxconn for free. You get no bathroom breaks. None. You have to piss in a bottle.
You have to go to China where they'll have a look-alike contest and everyone will win.
Even Pete Rose. When Pete Rose goes to China, never mind. That's not important. Anyway, it's time to have a discussion. It's time to have a little bit of a talk because, actually, you know what? We're gonna go into the hate bit ball bag now. Ball bag, and we got one from a guy that's been following the program for a long time, actually. And if you have questions, comments, concerns, correspondence of any kind, please drop us a line at hatebitpodcast@gmail.com. And if you got a great question or a great email, we'll read it right here on the show. And if it sucks, we're going to call you a faggot. And we're going to tell everybody what your email address is so they can call you a faggot. But, nothing but good things here on the program, as you can tell. But we got one here from Dave Hunter, who's a long-time listener. And he says, "Good evening, harbingers of hate." That's what he calls it. Isn't that cute? He says, "I began to write to you earlier today, but the accidental dissertation," I don't know if he knows that all dissertations are accidental, but that I wound up with veered off to the initial point I wanted to get to. So I'm just going to ask you just straight out. Well, I'm going to skip over all this. In your opinion, I'm sorry, Dave. What makes for a better game overall? More to the point, what should be more of the focus? Story or gameplay? Now, we've talked about this a little bit on the program, and it's good that he brought it up because the way he phrases it, he says, "We will leave discussions out of visuals out this time around." I appreciate that. He says, "I am of the opinion that gameplay should absolutely trump everything else. All of the games that people flock back to, regardless of era, system, or length, are gameplay heavy as far as I've seen. But I would love to hear some clarification from the only 3 people I can trust to give an honest opinion about the issue. Cheers, Dave Hunter of San Antonio, Texas." Well, thank you, David. Thank you very much. This seems to be the prevailing opinion, especially on YouTube. And it seems to me that it's something that people say without really thinking what they're saying. Is gameplay important? Yes. Is gameplay what brings people back to video games? Not always. We've had a discussion about the Resident Evil series, about how the early Resident Evil games were so unique. Those controls fucking suck. Is that what brought people back? No. People probably did they come back for the great voice acting? Probably not. Oh, okay. Alpha Omega Sin, tell the people about why you came back to Resident Evil.
All right. Well, tank controls while they're shit, make a lot of sense because you have a 3D model on a 2-dimensional background and trying to make that shit work.
With a controller that was not designed for such things. Yes.
Yeah, considering what they originally wanted with it, I understood it and it made sense. And after you get used to it, you control it like a dream, but it does control like shit, to be honest.
There's a heavy curve to it.
But it's the experience, the actual settings, the mood. I like the campy voice acting. It's so shit that I love it. I know most of the game's dialogue off by heart. Most of it has become synonymous with video games.
Yeah.
You know, and it was so unique at the time. We didn't really have shit like that. You know, the few things that we did have like that weren't like presented in the way that Resident Evil had done it. And I mean, there's certain RPGs that I can say the gameplay doesn't play a big role because it's all menu based.
Yeah, that's really what you're doing. You are selecting things from a menu. It's like having your very own Mac Plus.
Yeah, okay, for example, one of my all-time favorite games is Snatcher. Guess what you don't really do in it? You don't really control shit at all, ever.
In a Kojima game? Are you sure?
Even less so, because this is a visual novel adventure PC type game.
Yeah.
So, and the only time that you did was the fucking shooting portions, which you can use the Konami Justifier trademark symbol and all that. But I never bothered because it was way faster to use a fucking D-pad because it's just a 3x3 square. So way easier to just use D-pad and kill everything without having to hook up my tube television CRT and my Sega CDX and all that shit. But it's going to depend on the game. There's some games that if you play some shit like a rhythm game, the music is going to be a lot more, it's going to be one of the major focuses in that. For RPGs, story is always the most important aspect, unless like I'm playing some shit that's like a big open world role-playing game where gameplay is extremely important, but the story, I'm going to say, is as important. Because if I don't give a fuck about these characters or this world, I'm not going to continue, ever. No matter how good the gameplay is.
Absolutely.
If you can't keep my attention, why fucking bother? So it depends.
Well, and then there's another aspect of that. A game that leapt to my mind, I don't know why, but I think this is kind of poignant to our conversation, was a game released, an early PS3 title called Flower. I don't know if you guys are familiar with it. It's essentially a tech demo for the Sony 6-axis technology.
Yeah.
For those of you who haven't seen it, check it out. It's right here on YouTube. You can't miss it. And it's a whole bunch of, motion control, turning your controller. There's not too much of an objective to a lot of it. But it's an experience that, what brings me back to that game? Is it the gameplay? There's not really gameplay to speak of. Is it the story and the characters? There's no real story and characters. Is it the visuals? A little, maybe. But I think the overall package brings it together, lacking all of those things. And also, it's one of the first games, if not the only game, that's ever made me feel loaded without actually being loaded. And that money cannot buy that. It's like listening to Pink Floyd for the first time. You feel loaded without being loaded.
Well, you haven't played the original Resident Evil, have you? Goodness.
Well, it didn't do that for me, but I gather what you're getting.
Well, if you think about a game like Flower, I mean, it's definitely like an art snob type game, but that's not always a bad thing if it's done well. Flowers like an interactive painting that you can go and see in a museum.
In a way.
And when I first saw it, like when you just watch a video of it, it's not nearly as good. It's actually kind of fucking dull and boring. If you sit down and play it, for some reason, that little bit of immersion and that interactivity makes it a lot better. And you end up appreciating it. There's not much to it. I mean, it's thimble deep in terms of depth, but it's more of an experience, something that you don't really see all the time. And the gameplay is this.
Well,
there's not much shit to it.
Well, and what's also interesting is what thing for me anyway. I'm not a professional game reviewer, any of that sort of thing, but it did something for me that so many games have done throughout my life. Is it stole time from me? Time just whisked away. Like I'm not really doing anything, but this is neat. Is it fun? I don't know. But it's one of those things, like I can't pull myself away from this.
Fist, can you think of any games off the top of your head that you fancy the living fuck out of, but gameplay you wouldn't actually put at the very top of the list of reasons why you go back and play it?
I'd put a lot of point and clicks in that category. I'd put Murdered Soul Suspect, which I enjoyed. Not a whole lot of gameplay to it, but it's mostly about story and the ride and the narrative. And I would even venture to say it's not terribly replayable. It's one, you're the only other motherfucker I know that's ever mentioned the game. Thank you. And it's a good fucking story. It's a good fucking story because it's a whodunit murder mystery. Yeah.
And it's also like paranormal.
Yeah.
So that's two things mixed together. But you're right. It's not something that you would ever go back to play like multiple times because once you see the story, you don't really need to unless you're just in the mood for it.
Well, and it's not one of those multiple forking narrative kind of games either. It's very point A to point B, here's your story, whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
Here's where I would throw in a proviso. I think where they run into trouble is when you start out with a game that's more about gameplay and then you start removing gameplay to get more story. Then I think you start to get into a very murky territory where you're like, fuck, I don't even have to say anything but Final Fantasy 13. Right? I don't need to say anything else because the series had been, yes, it had always been about story. Yes, it had always had, at least in its recent past, it had more cutscenes, whatever the fuck. But once you're actually carving huge chunks of gameplay out of the fucking experience just to get more story, you can't just wantonly throw this shit out. It's a video game feature, not a People's Choice Award. It's a fucking... It's something that needs to be there, motherfucker. But yeah.
You know what? And this is going to sound fucked up for some people out there, but if you really analyze their games, I think it's definitely hitting nail on the head. Ninja Theory has a bad habit of doing that. They not to say all their games are bad because they're definitely not. But they have this habit of being getting high on their own fart supply. So to speak, because they begin getting too caught up in making story, and their writing and direction isn't always that great. And there's so much focus on it, then everything else feels a bit lackluster, as if they were just like, yeah, we don't have time for this or that or that or that or that. And that can suck. And it happens, but for the most part, there's lots of games out there. I will say that gameplay just seems secondary. Maybe it's because the gameplay becomes so good that you take it for granted, and everything else stands out so much more that it's never a focus to you anymore. Which is something that will be in the back of our heads, but we're not thinking about it right now. But a lot of these examples, I think that they apply pretty well.
Well, there's one thing that I think is being left out of this discussion, and it's something that I hold very near and dear to me and people don't realize how important is sound design, the music, the sound effects, all these little things, bumper transitions. These can also craft a video game and make it feel a certain way that if you remove those elements, you have something entirely different. One that strikes me that I'll use an example is SNK's Metal Slug series, always known for great music, really driving, got a little more heavy metal as time went on. One thing that's great about it is that game, number one, is just designed to kick you in the nuts and take your quarter, and that's it. Okay, it's a brutal platformer. There's a lot of stuff that you'll wear out your fucking wrist if you try and play this game from end to end. But just the way the whole thing, for me at least, the way that the music and this, the sound effects from, bullets, bombs, things like that, all these little things are so satisfying that I find myself so hard, even though this fucking hurts my thumbs and I've been doing this for a goddamn half an hour, it just makes you hold on. I think there are games and those are the unsung heroes, especially in modern games these days, are the sound designers. the people that craft that experience that you don't see, you don't even notice until you've played the game several times.
Yeah,
several
absolutely.
times.
Well, look, my favorite series is Thief. Sound is central. Sound is strange in that game because it's actually central to the gameplay. It's actually a feedback system. You
Right.
don't like because you don't have a radar like in Metal Gear Solid where you can see where the enemies are, so you have to hear them. You have to know where they are and pinpoint them on the map that way.
That must be a bitch in mono.
A little bit. It's very much that is a game that is greatly improved by the use of headphones. Let me tell you.
I'll bet.
I mean, there's the easiest way to look at sound design and appreciate it is to find something that lacks it.
Oh, sure.
And then you get to see, because again, we'll get tons of AAA games out there, and we're running around, we're shooting shit, we're doing combos, we're saving the entire world and all that stuff. And it's easy to take for granted the visual splendor of the game because it's just a feast for the eyes. And the sound design is done in such a way that you're used to hearing all the people talk and all the explosions going off and your footsteps whenever you're running through certain types of terrain, and how they went out of their way to make each gun sound very specific and very different. Punches, depending on where they're landing, sound different. Just all sorts of shit that all matter. And if you get to see the games being developed, like they're mapping over an entire thing, like, well, if this action happens at this section, at this time, it'll make this sound. And it's such very tiny, microscopic, specific moments within an entire adventure that you wouldn't think about, but they put that effort in. And when you get to notice that, then you appreciate it more. But yeah, it can be a saving grace. Good fucking soundtracks, for me, that's always important. That shit, when you take that away sometimes, it can ruin a game.
Oh, absolutely. In fact, there's one that springs to mind for me actually was Gradius 3. Not the favored Gradius game by a lot of people, but if you had a Super Nintendo, that's the one you were stuck with, like me. And that game just has some fantastic sound, and I really don't think if that game didn't have the sound design and the music that it did, I don't think I'd give that game a second fucking look. It's a big pain in the ass. There's a bunch of slowdown, and there's a bunch of really cheap hit detection. But I think that and there's a number of games like that. I think F-Zero, I would not be the F-Zero fan I am, or Star Fox for that matter, without those soundtracks and the way those games were put together as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely. F-Zero, big time.
Yeah, think about how many games. I can tell you one off the top of my head just because I randomly hum it without thinking about it, is Castlevania. And every so often, just be like, do you do
that when you come into a room?
It just randomly, that kind of shit. Think about Legend of Zelda, Super Mario Brothers. Think about a lot of soundtracks out there that they're chiptune type music, so it's easy to go and mouth those types of songs. But if it wasn't for that really catchy music, that might not be stuck inside your head as much as it is. Granted, great games regardless, but those soundtracks were just as important. It's just something you don't think about nearly as much because we take it for granted.
It's there. It's provided to you, much like the music in an elevator. Elevator music gets a bad rap, but once in a while there's a cool song in the elevator music and you don't notice because it was just there, taken for granted.
Yep.
So appreciate game design, appreciate sound design. That's what I think is important. And again, the answer to your question, Dave, is that it depends. It really does. And that's going to vary by platform too. People who expect that same experience across all the different platforms on your PC, on your console, mobile devices. I think that whatever makes those work best, I think that is what is best. That's my feeling. And apparently that's the feeling of the entire show, because that's it. That's it for the Hate Bit Podcast for this week. We thank you very much for joining us. We hope you had a great time. Want to remind you to subscribe and check us out right here on the social media, on Twitter, Facebook, all that shit. Also, don't forget. Don't
fucker.
Never remember. Don't come back here ever again.
We know his true thoughts now.
We will bludgeon you with a tire iron.
That's exactly it. And also, don't forget to drop us a line at hatebitpodcast@gmail.com.
When we do the bludgeoning with the tire iron, by the way, CNN is going to blame video games. So just a heads up.
And GTA by default.
Yeah.
And also, I mean, the upcoming Red Dead Redemption will also be a factor because, you know, if anybody with a cowboy hat shoots anybody, it's fucking Rockstar Games. It's all their fault. So that's it. I am Yo Chaos. Joining me, Alpha Omega Sin.
Don't start buying pop figures. It's like crack.
And reporting to us from the cover of every album from 1983, Razor Fist.
Hey guys, I just bought a Daredevil pop figure. God fucking speed.
He's buying 3 more as we speak.
We thank you for joining us. We hope you had a great time. We'll see you next time. And if you all excuse me, I have to go put some water in Charlie Murphy's mama dish.